y'all, it's Meg again. I'm here with Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Today I'm going to read to you Chapter 5. If this is your first time through, that's awesome, and I'm glad I could be here for it. See how long this is. Another fairly short chapter. Within a short, though perilous walk of Longbourn lived a family with whom the Bennets were particularly intimate. Sir William Lucas had been formerly a maker of fine burial gowns of such stately beauty that the king had seen fit to knight him. He had made a tolerable fortune until the strange plague had rendered his services unnecessary. Few thought it was worth the expense to dress the dead in finery when they would only soil it upon crawling out of their graves. He had removed with his family to a house about a mile from Meryton. Lady Lucas was a good kind of woman, not too clever to be a valuable neighbor to Mrs. Bennet. They had several children. The eldest of them, a sensible, intelligent young woman, about 27, was Elizabeth's intimate friend. "You began the evening well, Charlotte," said Mrs. Bennet with civil self-command to Miss Lucas. "You were Mr. Bingley's first choice." "Yes, but he seemed to like his second better." "Oh, you mean Jane, I suppose, because he danced with her twice, and because she fought so valiantly against the unmentionables." "Did I mention what I heard between him and Mr. Robinson?" Mr. Robinson's asking Mr. Bingley how he liked our Meryton assemblies, and whether he did not think there were many pretty women in the room, and which he thought the prettiest, and his answering immediately to the last question, 'Oh, the eldest Miss Bennet, beyond a doubt. There cannot be two opinions on that point.'" "Upon my word! Well, that is very decided indeed." "Mr. Darcy is not so well worth listening to as his friend, is he?" said Charlotte. "Poor Eliza! To be called only tolerable." "I beg you would not put it into Lizzie's head to be vexed by his ill-treatment, for he is such a disagreeable man that it would be quite a misfortune to be liked by him. Mrs. Long told me last night." Mrs. Bennet's voice failed her at the thought of poor Mrs. Long, her skull crushed betwixt the teeth of those wretched creatures. The ladies sat in silent contemplation for a few moments. "Miss Bingley told me," said Jane, finally, "that he never speaks much, unless among his intimate acquaintances. With them he is remarkably agreeable." "His pride," said Miss Lucas, "does not offend me so much as pride often does, because there is an excuse for it. One cannot wonder that so very fine a young man, with family, fortune, everything in his favour, should think highly of himself. If I may so express it, he has a right to be proud." "This is very true," replied Elizabeth, "and I could easily forgive his pride, had he not mortified mine. I dare say I would have cut his throat had not the unmentionables distracted me from doing so." "Pride," observed Mary, who piqued herself upon the solidity of her reflections, "is a very common failing, I believe. By all that I have ever read, I am convinced that it is very common indeed." Elizabeth could not help but roll her eyes as Mary continued. "Vanity and pride are different things, though the words are often used synonymously. A person may be proud without being vain. Pride relates more to our opinions of ourselves, vanity to what we would have others think of us." At this point Elizabeth let out a most palpable yawn. Though she admired Mary's bravery in battle, she had always found her a trifle dull in relaxed company. That is the end of Chapter 5. Hope you enjoyed.